Towers of Doom, this time picked up by HeroesHearth. So the Abathur will be considered. We've seen a lot of teams ban this out much earlier in this, but no Tomorrow Dreadnought is a team that's run the Abathur before on this. Yrel has 5 seconds of 35 armor on conceivably a 1 second cooldown at level 7. Whitemane gives 5 more armor at 40 with some healing in there on a much longer cooldown. It could be a heroic for Yrel at level 4.
Yeah, it's about that good.
Sometimes that number blows my mind, man. Like, we talked about it yesterday, still talk about it every time I see it. It's so strong. We'll see who gets control of the Yrel here, but it was something that BBJ did say during the interview, was how much he thought Jhin, he didn't think the role swaps would look that good, but he did say that Jhin right out of the gates looked good, and I can't argue with that. We'll see if he can, keep that trend up. Casanova, he's dabbled in the tank role from time to time, but still showing no signs of being rusty.
No, he isn't, and if anything, he's doing, next level. He's doing the highest end Garrosh plays, right? Where very rarely, I guess even in North America, can you reliably find a Garrosh player who knows how to flip taunt at the exact same time, where it's not that here's my taunt and my flip, here's, being able to use that tech and make it sure he gets it as effectively as possible. It's working out here for HeroesHearth, or excuse me, for No Tomorrow so far, just in a net a win. And I think a lot of that comes down to how much do they get out of those resources. Abathur's a really hard character to play into and understanding how to approach those things, so I think it makes it that much more difficult. But I walk away from game number 1 going, I'm impressed with No Tomorrow more so than HeroesHearth.
I'm not even going to argue that one. HeroesHearth. Abathur comps always change the dynamics of every single game on either side. So I don't want to be too critical of HeroesHearth, but we do expect there's a certain level of excellency that you expect out of your number 1 team. And I don't think they played bad, but I don't think they played great. For No Tomorrow, I thought they played really well.
Yeah.
So, we're just trying to find what are we getting out of those players.
Interesting choice in this draft as well. We see 2 off lanes already taken off the table throughout the bans with Yrel and Dahaka. Puts an interesting question on to how much priority are we going to see there on the top half of this draft.
No Tomorrow will first pick an Abathur. They've gone into Abathur comps before. HeroesHearth might not have that option available. They might actually ban it. They go Maiev. So I would not be surprised at all if we get an Abathur from No Tomorrow.
If you do not pick Abathur, you're 100%, you got to go Genji. Otherwise, you're going to deal with an Abathur Genji. And I mean, there's about no duo on planet Earth, Jehao. Genji, he's scary. Abathur, he's scary. But those 2 together, no. Just no.
You know what? I would have said that. I would have 100% agreed with you. But did you see that Genji lost Vikings last night?
I might have caught it.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It was. Abathur was taken away, so no fear. No fear of the double Genji. Genji is still here for HeroesHearth. They would like to pick it up, and they will do so there with the Blaze. I'm going to argue that Blaze is a little bit byproduct of those off-lane priority, but also into an Abathur having an off-lane. Number 1, having an off-lane advantage whenever you're against an Abathur, that's a huge win, especially when it's a macro like the Blaze provides. And the only other macro person who can trade into him is Leoric. Doesn't work that well with Abathur, or both have late-game power spikes, which you shouldn't rely on tower. So I actually think HeroesHearth has set up this draft pretty cleverly.
No Tomorrow has gone into very heavy melee comps in the past. They even mixed in a Malthael, I believe, into one of those, if I'm not mistaken. So we could see Murd and Thrall, and there still could be a Malthael beyond this if they really wanted to go heavy into that. But now with that Thrall Murd picked up, it seems like you need the range damage. Unless No Tomorrow is going to try their hand at a solo support Abathur. Again, the major requirements are self-sustain throughout the majority of your heroes, and if you don't have self-sustain, it's got to be through the way of mobility. Thrall has self-sustain, Murd has both. We'll see as this draft unfolds.
There's the Leo ban. I find it curious that it was a big enough of a focus that they would be willing to commit the resources even into it. The Thrall pickup mixed with the Leo and the Abby together, as we talked about the self-sustain and the threat that provides, maybe that kind of death balling together would be enough, but I assume that that's too many melees, that there would be a proper enough response that I didn't need the ban in. But HeroesHearth commit to the ban. If anything, that just shows to me they show a lot of respect about that laning matchup, especially with Abathur, that they are very concerned about winning wave clear into that hero.
So Genji can be played by either Arthlon or Crowan. However, it's been a while since it's been Crowan, so we'll see if maybe we got a Rainer, a Phoenix, or maybe that Hanzo again here for HeroesHearth. They might wait Yeah, I think they're going to wait to see, like, okay, what is the potential kill factor from No Tomorrow? Is there somebody, do I need a Rainer? Do I need a Phoenix, or is a Hanzo okay?
Yeah.
I think they need to figure out what No Tomorrow is going to run here.
I think it's very safe too, because if you ended up committing to the Hanzo in that rotation, and then whatever is picked is another melee that can gap close and really one-shot, Deckard can out-heal that, and Genji and your other target can't survive it, Johanna can't peel. So in this way, you have the, we know Hanzo works here, but it doesn't hurt if they pick it up, but you know, we can just make sure there is no screaming do or do not here. White Mane plus Sonya picked up full death ball, so actually Falstad suddenly rises in a lot of value in this pick, even though it's not a North American priority.
Yeah.
Purely based on the macro into an Abathur, into a 4-man melee, 3-man melee, sorry, Abathur technically won't, but I guarantee he's gonna probably clone a melee.
Willingly picking this into a Sonya is surprising to me. So the Sonya build, or into a Johanna, so the Sonya into a Johanna, that's full melee. Into that. Give them some pepper, we'll get some major value against a dive composition where they're all grouped up. That pepper spreads there.
Goes from like just a baby salt shaker to like the whole box of pepper just
I mean,
dropped on their head.
Everybody's sneezing on that side.
Yeah.
There's so much lockdown. So this is, for adaptation's sake, Johanna obviously has the Condemn, can interrupt the Whirlwind, and that's why I said, you know, Wrath of the Berserker helps on CC and stuff like that, but then the Whirlwind potential there at level 4. There's that. There's the blinds. Jimmy can obviously hit you with the penetrating round. Post 16 has great heal against clumped up targets. But then we look at Deckard. We've seen June go the build where you go scroll the ceiling at level 1. That's easy targets to lock onto. At the end of that, we're talking armor reduction, potentially stay a while and listen, get some blinds and stuff throughout all this. It's going to be tough for No Tomorrow in this heavy melee comp that's relying on a lot of autos.
I very much agree with you. And so my first thought is like, well, maybe they can make up through that in the laning phase so the teamfight phase won't be as detrimental. But I do think that they maybe didn't respect that HeroesHearth Esports, the 1-4 is so dominant. And I think a lot of the thought process was Sonya with an Abathur hat into a Blaze, it can hold its own pretty well. And then Thrall can do something else where, well, the 2-man makes something happen with kill potential. But I can't help but feel like the 4-man of HeroesHearth is just going to obliterate the wave so fast and then rotate out, and Blaze is going to be not losing that 1v1 hard enough to where I don't know if it has the laning presence desired.
Well, for that Blaze, it does require a certain amount of patience to not push that lane out. You can win the lane, but if you push out too far, that's the scary part. We got Crash Lightning, by the way. So making sure to go all in on that burst, get a lot of that spread damage in. White Mane obviously does provide a lot in terms of the dive potential. See how aggressive Genji gets when it does come to that back line.
J-How. I went back into my literature books this weekend, and after seeing this composition, I really only kind of came up with one question. That is to leap or not to leap. Do you do it or do you not? Because I can't help but feel like in this composition, if No Tomorrow is truly going to be able to bring the fight onto HeroesHearth, the only way is just by bringing the fight faster than they can handle it, and that is just smashing Deckard Cain by all-in gap closing and initiating.
Leap Sunder or Sunder Leap?
You Sunder Leap, because you need to split the C's before you get the crowd controlled afterwards. Arth gets slowed down here in rotations, but for now, No Tomorrow actually holding their own pretty well within this rotation. I figured the HeroesHearth would be able to dictate this middle lane control a little bit better. As you see, they aren't necessarily losing it. That Locust in mid, even though the middle lane is sitting in mid, that's not a win for No Tomorrow, even though it seems like it is. They are losing those 3 minions. And that is where HeroesHearth gains small advantages here in the early game.
Blaze has already made the rotation down towards the mid in case there was any potential invade attempt by No Tomorrow. Also allows him to continue to double soak. Arthon sniffs out, finds multiple members there. The Abathur, the lack of a body, if Sonya had shown a little earlier, then maybe they would have said, hey, you know what? We do have numbers. We have that available to us, but not able to do so.
One thing I want to bring up here and kind of start as a conversation, because I find it pretty interesting, is some of the level 1s out of Blaze. Mainly just between the CDR, which we see picked up here, versus the Globe Quest talent that can eventually lead to a self-unstoppable. And also each Globe kind of lowers the cooldown of the Pyromania. into things like Thrall and things like that, I thought we would see a little bit more out of it. It was a bit more popular at the Eastern Clash. Sundering is terrifying, and being able to force that bunker is one of those tools that I feel like can really be used to make sure you always get that bunker placement. What are your thoughts there on the trade-offs between, you know, when do you not?
Yeah, the impact was definitely seen at Eastern Clash, so much so that we have seen some recent adaptations. There's Akaface making sure to keep some of those healing alive, as we see Tomster did get the assault from Arthon. But I agree with you in that sense, is that being able to control that hero and control what could be the largest element of any given team fight in that bunker and have that self-sustain. It's always weird now because Thrall really fell out of the meta, and in North America it was very, very much an earthquake all day, every day.
Yeah.
And it's weird because we look back at the changes from Thrall quite some time ago when they added there's no more cast time, right? It's instant, whether you get stunned or not. That it changed the dynamic of being able to predict and deal with the Sunder. It's far more valuable now than it used to be.
Crowin able to get the penetrating rounds, but he's still going to eat a Stormbolt here out from Casanova. So we saw an even trade over that top altar. Abathur going to have to deal with Blaze and the lane pressure he has to put out here. The longer the better here for HeroesHearth Esports because they have Blaze matching the Abathur. Abathur's going to get the soak through mid in the downtime. Zarthlon eats Akaface's Inquisition sent out there for a moment.
BBJ should try and move forward, else it's going to be on Ishbu. There's one. Arthon goes ahead and use that Swift Strike on out. We'll see how close BBJ opts to get, although Jen has done a very good job trying to zone.
Should be noted that this is not support Abathur build, so that hat is not going to provide healing in the same manner. Akaface is the only support in this game. The Abathur hat is more a team fight Abathur hat.
Sonya ended up going mid. Seems that No Tomorrow might just concede that. Yeah, they're going to go ahead and do that, maybe trying to get one more poke in there from Thrall, unable to get that in time. So No Tomorrow, they saw 7 creeping up, saw that Blaze was double soaking, and Abathur definitely cannot keep up with that. So the approach for No Tomorrow, just, you know, stay back. Level 7's there, go ahead and drop back and fight another day.
I want to highlight how what we just saw come to light all started in the draft. That exact trade-off over that bottom shrine, No Tomorrow, and the fact that HeroesHearth was comfortable with a high priority onto their Blaze and then with the Leoric ban afterwards was to make sure that they had absolute domination over the offlane, so that when Abathur tried to stall out for the side soak later into the game, that if they have the winning offlane, it doesn't matter if Abathur's side soaking. At best, he goes even. So make sure your 4 has a kill potential, which HeroesHearth clearly does. This started with as early as the first ban phase, with the Urel coming out into the second ban into the other offlane there, and that is HeroesHearth Esports showing why they are the best in North America, being able to translate their draft decisions into gameplay decisions as well.
It seemed like each member of No Tomorrow there was like, oh, I don't think we're going to get Genji, and then there was like max range hammer. It's like, oh, wait, we got this. Maybe we should, and I'm just going to throw this wolf out. We should probably walk away. It's not going to land. And clips him right at the end of it. There was no real kill threat there, but each one of them were like, wait, I didn't think we were going to land that. And then the next guy was like, wait, I didn't think we were going to land that either. This is a fun thing to watch. Level 10 is getting close here. Casanova trying to stay on top of Crowin there. Casanova is starting to get heals there, but there's going to be an interrupt onto white main heals. Genji gets locked down in the middle of that. Tomster trying to dish some of that damage out as you see the Emerald forcing out the cleanse, as well as we saw Hami coming in with the dash.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty big setback there, not only for the cooldown and the fact that HeroesHearth got to see that the cleanse was used, but it hurts Akaface's mana pool a bit there if he had the Q out in the downtime. Channel picked up here now by HeroesHearth Esports, and have a pretty significant advantage when looking at the core HP. Experience is at least even here for No Tomorrow. But HeroesHearth Esports gaining a bit more against the early game of an Abathur comp than it feels like everybody seems to have against them when they have the Abathur.
I was watching those heroics.
You were like,
I'm like, are we getting Sunder Leap? Instead, we get neither. It's going to be Earthquake to try and sustain on that. The one thing that will always be very frustrating, I think, is the Emerald use of Deckard. We've seen, you know, June has contemplated on it at times, maybe getting more to that scroll of ceiling, get the cooldown reduction with the cube, things to play around with. This time it will be a matter of surviving and sustaining within that fight. But if that Emerald comes out through those white main heals, It will be difficult, but they do have the armor that can help them survive at least the momentary healing reduction.
And one thing I do want to point out as well, now that we do have the heroics coming through the Wrath and the Earthquake, is that Earthquake, it does do a reasonable job of forcing the fight, as we see an attempt here. What I'm just going to, before this action unfolds, is that I think No Tomorrow is going to struggle to be able to force the fights they want with the clone, and the fact that they have an all melee composition and their only initiation is either Earthquake or Murden. Earthquake is not a good initiator. It's a great counter initiator, but it is very poor at usually forcing a fight when you have a major advantage. So there is so much pressure on the shoulders here, I think, of Casanova to force these fights. And if you're HeroesHearth Esports, now you wait till you see the clone and the Earthquake, you throw a Lornado, throw a Scroll Ceiling, reinitiate after, drop a bunker, call it a day.
Well, here we go. This might be our first big fight. Cleanse is going to be used. Earthquake comes down. The bunker out already, as well as the Lornado. So 2 disengage options are there. Jin getting bumped around on that Sonya. It looks like that bunker is going to be used to try and do some damage towards the minions and sappers there. They were going to see the lockdown onto the clone, so that's not an option for the rest of the fight.
Arthlon's going to start the bottom channel as we see Homicidal getting the interrupt there to mid. No attempt to interrupt bottom. No Tomorrow will not contest that bottom shrine, so that is picked up there as Akafe starts the middle shrine. Blind comes out, ends up getting first interrupt. Homicidal is the focus, at least for now, as HeroesHearth aggress here on a No Tomorrow. Blessed Shield locks down 3. Jin spinning to win, trying to keep himself alive. Arthlon goes in for a reset. Scarlet Aegis dropped by Akafe, and No Tomorrow at least hold on for now.
They almost got that kill. There's going to be Avatar use because they knew the lockdown was coming in, but we saw the Emerald healing reduction on that Whirlwind from Jen, and so that focus target was there, but the heroic use there did get that out of the way. Casanova holding onto position in the front. Arthlon comes in. Jen's going to be locked down. That's going to be takedown number 1. This should be another channel now for HeroesHearth, who starting to amass a larger and larger lead with every passing altar.
I wish I could tell you that I think that is going to change, but even more so as this game kind of unfolds, it feels like some of the concerns that we saw within the draft, I feel like are coming to be true statements, especially when I felt like that last initiation for a moment when No Tomorrow actually lands the Stormbolt onto Arthlon there for a moment, but BBJ's got the potions to be able to heal him up. It was just the initiation through the Earthquake and then the disengage. 2-man jet propulsion here from Homicide. A bunker for the conversion of this bottom bell tower. It's going to be easy pickup there, but look at that follow-up. A lot of damage there with the Earthquake afterwards. BBJ trying to keep himself alive. Lornado comes out. Jay Shrite is the clone, so he gets removed. Another big Scroll of Ceiling jet propulsion combo from HeroesHearth Esports. Is Homicidal kiting to keep himself alive.
I think we also got the knockback from Krohn in the middle of that, and Krohn is doing work. There's going to be a knockback. Jin somehow surviving, but he's going to fall. We saw Murden fall as well. Akafe, he will not be long for this world. And this right now should just be a matter of, I need to die faster. The longer you take, the more staggered your death is, and it's going to be longer for you to get back on to join your team. So that will be a staggered death that will come back. But that team fight, HeroesHearth had some clutch moments there.
The guy who really stood out for me over that last skirmish was BBJ. He had one of the best Ancient Blessings turnaround opportunities that I feel like I have seen. The only reason not only they were able to turn around that kill after a panic moment, but he kept himself alive is through that oh so powerful 13 there for Deckard. But we got 18 seconds out from the next altar with the Merc pressure, double sappers being stacked down below. No Tomorrow surely having to answer to those, and with only one altar, don't think they're going to contest that. The escorting of these sappers seems a bit more, necessary here for their attention.
Well, there's going to be potential lockdown. Healing reduction is there, and you can see the value. Casanova forced another heroic just to keep another teammate alive. The Casanova, that was self-sustained there. I talked to BBJ about that Ancient Blessings talent. He said you could reduce that down to like 25 damage, and it would still be the #1 pick. That's how much he believes, how strong that talent is we've got another wave of sappers coming in here as No Tomorrow tries to hold.
Throw down the Scroll Ceiling, penetrating rounds. Earthquake comes out. Casanova moves up. Blessed Shield is going to be the answer and measure use here by Ishbu to stop that advance of No Tomorrow. The sappers are cleared up, but that big Scroll of Ceiling, Genji goes in, finds himself a reset. Scroll of Ceiling thrown out afterwards as Iron Skin dropped at the last moment. Jin ends up dropping as well. They are not done. Another reset there for Arthlon. He drops the deflect and just nopes right out of that.
My favorite part about that interaction, Dreadnought, was Arthalon's like, okay, I think we're done. Everybody's starting to walk away. But then Akapace actually walked forward, and there had to be something in the comms that's like, let's go, because Akapace used his root at level 13, got the root lockdown. That requires you to channel. And the minute he became stationary to get that root, it's like, oh, wait a minute, they're there. We saw the Lornado and the Swift Strike instantly as a response to get that takedown, and that's kind of how that initiated. It was the root attempt by Akapace without any follow-up there that really came back to bite them in that moment.
29 seconds down from the next altar, J-How. There's a big setback when it comes to the core HP, but I feel like the most devastating thing at this point in time, because on Towers of Doom, when you have an Avatar composition, you're going to either struggle with the experience or you're going to struggle with the core HP. You usually sack core HP because you go, as long as I'm on even talent tiers, eventually I can make the fight to come back, but that is the problem. Now that we have made it past the 10-minute mark and Heroes Hearth has that major talent tier spike even over the 5th altar phase, they're the ones actually looking to gain more in this phase.
Ami and Arthalon, jet propulsion interrupted. Gonna have this self-heal, Pyromania used, getting that armor as well. Akapace starts the channel, interrupted by Ishbu. Rainer's Raider comes in here, also gets an interrupt for now. Crash Lightning, by the way, was finished some time ago. Another interrupt comes in on that route. Genji, however, is snuck to the other side. He doesn't care. And now, Heroes Hearth is a team fight away from ending this game here. We'll see if they get it. Arthalon, though, ate a massive spear there from Jin.
Did eat the massive spear, falling a little bit below 50%, but BBJ trying to heal him up. Akapace starts the channel to deny this game from Heroes Hearth, at least for now. Ishbu gets the interrupt, focuses on the Thompson for now. Jin goes over the wall, Scrollless healing thrown down. Casanova gets the Dwarf Toss. Lornado is there. Akapace trying to start the channel, but actually Arthalon interrupting again. Condemned back. He's just looking for the reset. Scarlet Aegis goes down along with the Earthquake. Homicidal is actually going to drop here. No Tomorrow fighting back.
Heroes Hearth, they're trying to fight back with their own, but Arthalon being locked down. X-Strike was forced to be used. There's the poke comes in. Casanova zoning out on the right side. Ishbu moving forward, gets one more interrupt. BBJ will get another, and Arthalon, Dreadnought still waiting in the wings. See if he tries to pull the trigger on this fight.
He's going to at least get the interrupt there onto Akapace. BBJ, though, needs to be able to keep himself alive. Unable to do so there, and that is another kill here. Now for No Tomorrow. Akapace very low. Only one Q available there to get the heals out. Only one spread of his passive. Where's he going to use it there? First attempt goes out onto Ginger, I believe.
Rainer's Raider. Oh, Jin getting tracked down.
Oh, he
survives.
That was a lot of healing there. We do see the W used by Akapace, and now he ends up losing it as they get the kill onto Deckard. Arthalon trying to find the reset. There is no reset there. Spear comes back, and that is why Jin is able to pick up that kill, but it comes at the cost of Tomster.
I mean, it's a bloodbath. I mean, Jin now, it's a 1v3 with an Avatar hat. He can get the healing off of that, but there's going to be the stun follow-up, the penetrating round, and Heroes Hearth held on in this moment, in this team fight. They let everybody know the sprays that are coming down, and even in death, Hami, a homage for Hami in his past HGC days, making his reappearance here as a sub for Heroes Hearth.
Really like the decision-making there, though. I feel like over the last game from Heroes Hearth Esports, because we were talking about, you know, based on the performance of Game 1, some of the questions we have, did we feel like we got what we wanted? And I feel like, you know, maybe not so much. Whereas in that last game, specifically the decision to send Arthalon to get the back door and just going like, okay, if you guys are going to panic and overreact and trying to deny ours, we're just going to send the Genji for the back door and make this actually a lethal opportunity and put you in a full lose-lose scenario. So that was the coolest thing for me.
Worked out well. Heroes Hearth definitely had dominance around the altar phases in the team fights. They were able to wait out. They were patient. They didn't have to aggress. You mentioned that Earthquake is more of a counter-initiation tool. The problem is Heroes Hearth, they just kind of held their ground. And when it was up to them to get the interrupts, Deckard has 2 interrupt abilities. We saw the flashlight come out from Johanna, and they could play patient. Their long-range abilities, the Iron Skin use, Heroes Hearth just use that every single time to wait out several moments, and then they would turn right around, finish that, wait out the clone post level 10, and then they had control each step of the way.
Yeah, and you know, I want to bring back to that bottom fight, actually. We're going to use this as a replay here, and the Ancient Blessing turnaround moment on the bottom half was just so clean there.
Ooh.
As we just have a replay of victory here. There we go. Now we got the action unfolding. But the biggest thing is to look at Heroes Hearth when they clump after the damage comes out. When they all shine gold, they become a very powerful group right here. Now, when they turn around and all the damage opportunities, look how much healing they end up getting out, and their stunning opportunities. It's just ridiculous what they can make happen.
There we go. And you can see that, you know, there's no tomorrow, moving forward, aggressing forward, trying to get the
gold.
takedowns.
Ooh.
There's the healing, just the value. And Crowan in that team fight, I like to shine gold too.
I mean, that is just ridiculous. That fight, those 4, as the death ball went from like, yeah, we're going to lose this. That Sonya's going to rip us apart. So like, suddenly everybody's self-healing. There's splash damage going everywhere. Both of the warriors are dying at the same time. It is juicy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you know why people like Ancient Blessing at 13 there on Deckard Cain.
Everybody turns gold now. We go white main, she turns gold. We get Deckard post 13. He makes everybody turn gold. Allies turn gold now. That's the new support. So if you're looking to play a support, find somebody that turns everybody gold. Just maybe Uther, maybe hit or miss sometimes. But either way, we got 2 dominant supports. Speaking of dominant, we got a game 2 dominance out of Heroes Hearth. We're going to see if they can close it out and whether No Tomorrow can find